So I emancipated myself, and it's something that everybody's going to have to do. However, I already did it. I had to do it when I was in ninth grade, and then I had to do it again when I was in college. So in ninth grade, I emancipated myself from the dummy class and forced them to give me like age and knowledge appropriate, ability appropriate classes and not, remedial. And I basically wrote my own ticket after that. I just picked up the clues here and there, like what am I supposed to learn? And then I emancipated myself from many different things. One of them was a confining relationship. And the other one was, I really, since I lost all that weight and I lost all the masking I had been carrying around, which goes to prove in some ways that personality can be stored in fat. Is that not like a mind blower, that your personality, it can be stored, or aspects of your personality are stored in fat? Because when I lost all that fat, it's gone. Whoever that person was is gone. And yeah. So I'm a stranger to the people around me, and they don't seem to notice that I'm strange, and they're very upset about it and wanting the old person back. And, I'm going to be shunned until that happens, which, sad to say, she's not coming back. She doesn't exist anymore. And she was really just a bunch of fat interacting with other fat. And I can't explain it, but the proof is there. It's like I tried to tell this woman that, the thing about the hypoallergenic dogs, but also that I knew a guy who I don't know, he had some kind of anomaly that I don't even remember. But here is a woman who's very clearly still has, we're almost on the same level as far as cognitive abilities. Her music ability isn't as good, but we definitely communicate verbally in a similar way. I have more education and verbal background than she does, than most people, because of my grandparents and my parents. But that aside, that's just, education. You could know things, but who you are is packed in your fats. And not too many people go through a supremely extreme experience like losing 80 pounds when you're 5'1", and after the 80 pounds, you're 4'11". So I think a lot of that stature was inflammation, but they're all, obviously attrition. That's what happened. It all just kind of fell off. And it did so naturally, and I really didn't orchestrate it. I did make health changes and diet changes, especially, and really began to pay attention to what agreed with me, what didn't, and the realization that most things didn't. So I was forcing myself to eat a lot of foods that were reacting to me. I was getting allergies, but I also had anger and other emotions that were connected to the food that I was eating. And I was drinking alcohol too, which is sort of like having being a student driver, and the instructor actually has his foot on the brake. So you're not in charge. And, I've made choices to avoid alcohol. And I would love to get a small thing of rum and put it in my eggnog once a year. That's, there's nothing wrong with that. That's not what I'm talking about, because it is for ceremonial purposes, but it's become a drug that people are addicted to now, so, or have been for a very long time. So, I don't know what that's about, but I'm grateful for the 12-step programs where I learned how to let go of the things, the judgment of myself or whatever it is, whatever crime I've committed. I've had to destigmatize it so that I could let it go, and then move on to actually finding out who I am and doing those things that make me happy. The stigma it's like a sticky. Stigma is like a word, like a stigmata, where you're marked. It's a mark. And it prevents you from doing anything but that is allowed within that mark. And you're not a mark, and you are not what you did in your past, or what societal pleasures you took part in that were not good for you or other people. I mean, porn, let's talk about porn. I took Bernadette to a porn drive-in movie, and she got violently ill. I mean, that was me. And she had to drive because I was drunk. So I was her drunk mother, you know what I mean? And she suffered because of that. And then Margaret, she humiliated me in school, like in front of other people the first day of school. I was already traumatized and autistic and everything else, and she just like makes fun of me the first day of school. Oh, I just felt like dog shit most of my life, those early years, just not knowing who to believe. And why couldn't I, why couldn't I just have my dad, I just wanted my dad back in my life, and he was dead, or he was gone, or, that in itself is traumatizing, but it was just the full 360-degree frontal assault. Every degree is a front assault. So it just, it covered all the bases, and very personal ones. And so I think a lot of what, it seems like if there was a one entity outside of me, it seems to be extremely interested in all these inner workings of me. And if it was one person, I'm just saying, because of what if, blah, blah, blah. I play what if a lot, because I don't really trust what I see. I can't. Not with what I know, and what I know how to do, and what I know and I've seen others do, and what I've seen being done. So no, I don't trust what I see. And I trust more what I hear, because I can discriminate between, most of the time the AI is quite convincing. But more and more I know to just, if I sense that AI is tapping into me, and that's all it's doing, there's no there. Yeah, I'm shine it on, because what I look at grows. We're the sun. So if we were the sun and we shine the light on a little plant, it's going to grow. If we don't shine on that plant, and it's always in the shade, it'll never really grow to what it could be. So saying that, meaning what you focus on is what grows. And I've been focusing a lot on what, how others are treating me, and how that makes me feel, and why is that? Like, why? What is the deal? I know they're not wrong, but it's not articulated exactly what would be the right thing, and then it doesn't seem possible, because I do the best that I can every day. I pray every day that I would have inner calm, focus, energy, and clarity to do what I need to do that day, to the best of my ability. Not everybody has that intention every day. Most of the time we just go about our day like zombies. But I intentionally say that every day, because I've had such kickback from the world of just my presence here. And it's alarming and difficult to communicate when everything you say is thrown back in your face. Like, that's, an assault on them. And it's like, well, I used to believe in free will. I don't really believe in free will. I don't believe that free will is really a thing. I think we have free choice, and I think that's it. We can choose. But we can't just win over on someone else because, we got there first. No. That isn't free will. That's called achievement and just, being motivated to, for the early bird gets the worm, blah, 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 3D, carbon cycle. It's just, survival of the fittest. That's all that is. It has nothing to do with who we are. We can choose to operate in that way, but eventually it's either service to yourself or service to others. There's no way that two things can be a majority, and you have to have a majority. So you choose either, almost everything is to me, which is how I used to be. Everything was for me. Once I left that marriage, and I had nothing else to put my energy into but me. And if it benefited me, and I did a good job at that. But I was encountered with an immovable force, a forklift, and I was the moving part. And so I moved. And that changed everything. That changed me. So then after that, the process of dismantling the husks that had just got a big old chasm cut right in it. Chisholm just split right down the middle. It's like when that tooth cracks all the way to the root. What are you going to do? It's exposed. So it's going to go away. And that's what happened. That whole husk. And it was a big one, 80 pounds. I mean, not many people can, say that they know exactly how much their baggage weighs. It weighed 80 pounds. And that was pretty compact. Each one of those pounds is trillions of cells. Each cell is a universe all by itself. So, yeah. I'm a pretty lucky girl. And that's what I aimed to do, was to get the knowledge about myself, not for anybody else, so I could know what the fuck happened. And how did I get to this point? What the hell am I doing? Why does nothing work? Nothing. Everything, I remember quoting in 2019, everything falls. Like, I noticed that the inertia was gone. Everything was kinetic. Boop. You set something down, level or not, it's still going to fall. And if you left anything, like for me, this is how I measure where we are in the cosmos. I'm like the cosmic turtle wandering around in space. And when everything falls, you set a pile of books down, right? You look at it, it looks secure. Turn around, the whole thing's down. Or you're sitting on your bed and, you have the position where you got those marbles and da-da-da, and all of a sudden you turn and everything falls in, and then that hits something else, and then that falls, and, then it's just the dominoes start to fall. And 2019 was exaggerated, and it went for a long time. It was like everything falls for probably a year. And then it subsided, and it started again in 2021. It happened a couple of times that year. Last year it happened once, I think. And this year it's been kind of a low-grade problem, like not 5G, but, 3G or so, I don't know. It's just, there's a low-grade problem with the stability of our elliptical, our axis, the axis and the atlas, axis on the atlas. And it's funny because last year in May, as soon as I got hit, I was like, I'm going to find a chiropractor that will correct this atlas. this axis that I have a problem with in my neck. And I'll tell you what, the biggest charlatan, he wouldn't touch me. Cerebellum's falling in the back. He wouldn't talk to me. He wouldn't touch me. He took a ton of x-rays and was not interested in working on me. So, yeah, that Axis Atlas, that is serious shit. And I don't think he had really the goods. He had the trappings, but not the goods. They're selling supplements. So, yeah, wolf in sheep's clothing, and it was found. So anyhow, there's that. And then, but I attempted, and I found out about it in 2019 when I was in Connecticut, Chapman Road, Tower Hill. Was it Chapman? Connecticut. But weird place. They had the owls. It was big stands of forest, and at night you could hear the owls. They were big ones, and they each had a dominion of the forest, and there were 3 of them. So the forest was big enough for one whole side to be in the dominion of only 3 owls. And you could hear them at night, and then you could hear the frogs. There were these frogs that climb trees, and they shriek at night. And they shriek really loud, and you have to close everything down because they'll crawl on everything in the house, and it was so creepy. And the guy was a beekeeper, and he had a Zen garden and big statues, Egyptian statues in his house. And he was a photographer. He'd take pictures of me. I seem to run into these old farts that like to take photographs of me, and it's not a compliment because I'm not their play toy and I'm not their, commodity, but, that's why I left California, because every time I went to California, someone would be like, hey, can I make a movie about you? And, and it was just this is not for me. I want to make my movie. Me. I'm going to make I'm making it now. But, no, I'm not fodder for someone else's movie. And, I've fought to have my own movie all my life. And every time I'd make a big movie, blockbuster, all the cast would just try to pick it apart and take whatever's left, take even my part. It's okay, fine. I don't know. Does it have to stop there? Nothing really stops. But they've pulled away, and they're going in a different direction. And probably always were. I was going in their direction for a while, but then when reality and fate came and Pluto came and everything just went boom, and I had to stop and regain my footing, that's when the message is, there's a lot to unpack here. It's going to take time. You better get started. And I got started. 2015 is when I went on the road. That was it. I was done. I was okay. The weight loss had already started. By then, 35 pounds. It was obvious. There was a lot left. And when I finished crying is when I could really start looking at my health. And that's when my left hand and being strapped to the table, that incident, the memory of it came back when I lost another few pounds. I probably 20 more pounds after that. And it was more than obvious. And I was really studying the different degrees in my chart and what the Chandra symbols mean for those degrees. And, so 27 degrees in the cardinal signs is pretty juicy. And I should make a cardinal cross and do each one of those, because this is what it means for me. And they're very important aspects of what's going on. So, yeah, the North Node and the full moon, the North Node and the moon. So when the moon gets to 27 degrees Aries, which is going to be this week, something's going to pop. And I hope that we open up what my sun is about, 27 degrees Cancer, what the moon is about, 27 degrees Libra, what this particular transiting planet is. The north node is there, and the moon is there. So it's the conjunction of the moon and the north node Rahu, where we're going. So, and then the 27 degrees Capricorn is where Pluto is right now. So that's connected to my 6 degrees Virgo Pluto, which is where Venus just was. And it's also connected to my 26 Saturn in Capricorn. And I just had that Saturn return 2 years ago, and that got me here. It got me kind of climbing a different mountain range, got me out of that swamp. So I'm there. I'm on the top of the mountain, and I feel good. So let's find out what these 27s all mean and exactly what date. I know it's this week sometime. I think it's Thursday, of course. We'll find out the day, the hour, and all that. So we have the tools. We have the technology. We can rebuild her. Amen. Over and out.